Hi, welcome to another fantastic final. Today we relive the 1984 second semi between Hawthorn and Essendon. My guest today, as we recap, happened to be one of the umpires in charge that day. John Russo, welcome.
Thanks, Ron. It's good to be here.
A couple of ethnics at the table here now.
Yeah, a couple of ethnics playing as well.
Were there? Who were they?
Peter Russo was one and Robert Domenico was another.
Have you ever had any questions about your hereditary given to you by players?
I've actually had lots of them, and this game sort of brings one of them back very, very vividly. And I was in the middle of the MCG and things are very serious and you're trying to concentrate on your job, and Peter Schwab, great fella, turned to me and questioned my ethnic heritage. And in accordance with the instruction of the day, I turned to him and said, "Look, Schwabby, I hope you're not talking to me." And he said, "No, I'm talking to him." And he pointed behind me, and I turned behind me, and of course Robert Domenico was there, so we all started to have a bit of a chuckle, and I thought I couldn't let it lie at that, so I had to have an answer for him. And I just turned back to him and I said, "I thought I was the only ethnic out here, but obviously I'm not." So things can be lighthearted on the footy field.
Oh, in a final?
Yeah. If you don't enjoy it, then things are not going well. You've just got to enjoy it.
I wish I'd taken notice of that when I played.
I didn't enjoy all of them.
Now, this was only your 31st game of umpiring. It's a pretty fine effort to have been picked for a second semi-final with only that amount of experience.
Yeah, I think it was only intended that I'd umpire one final that year. It was sort of like blooding me. I'd run the first week at Waverley, and I'd had one of those good days, and during my career I had lots of bad days, but that was one of the good ones. And so they saw fit to appoint me to a second game, and I was lucky enough to get the Hawthorn-Essendon second semi. I
can guess at the answer to this, but tell us, do you get very nervous before a final? You like the players in that respect?
No, I certainly wasn't nervous for these finals because my expectations weren't that high. I'd only umpired 29 games at the end of the home and away season, and a final was going to be a real bonus. So in a sense I'd already succeeded. The mere fact that I'd umpired the first week of finals and then was appointed to a second final meant that I really had nothing to be nervous about because my expectations had sort of already been well and truly satisfied.
Now, during the year, you get the responsibility of Brownlow votes. In finals, you don't. Is that better? Would you rather not have to vote?
Policy question. Look, I really think that...
I don't think it's a policy question.
The Brownlow is a very important award, and I'm sure that the umpires do find it very difficult to give Brownlow votes. I know I did. Some games are very difficult to pick who the best, second best and third best player on the ground are. And I really think that it's such a special award that to reduce it to anything short of what the umpires award, anything short of the umpires award would sort of diminish it a bit. So even though I see the responsibility as a big one and I see it as a very difficult job, I still think that it should stay with the umpires to set it apart from all of the other awards in football.
At least we get unbiased views, supposedly, don't we?
Yeah, you do.
Or, no connection with the club. That's one of the good things about it. One of
the unfortunate things about it, though, is that we obviously don't get access to stats sheets, and we're just humans, so we can tend to just go by the
humans.
Yeah, we are.
Pardon?
As much as people doubt it, we are human, and it's just important that people realise that because we are just humans, then we can tend to notice human characteristics. We notice fellas with curly black hair or curly blonde hair. We notice fellows with fair skin. We notice fellows with a particular running style, and that's not a criticism. It just means that we're ordinary people.
Now, there's a guy playing in this match that we'll be seeing today, and here's the team now, and there he is as the first, well, he's full forward there, placed at full forward, Lee Matthews, an absolutely sensational player in my opinion. What was your opinion of him, and how was he to handle?
Yeah, I didn't ever have any trouble handling Lee, and in fact I can't really remember having a lot of trouble handling any players.
Brereton?
No, I didn't really cross swords with Dermot. I must admit, Lee was one of those fellas that was just, he ferociously attacked the footy, and a player that ferociously attacks the footy I don't think really ever gives an umpire trouble. Sure, there are times during their career when they may do something that's a little bit untoward, but that happens. I did lots of things untoward when I was umpiring, so that's certainly not a criticism either.
It's interesting, Johnny, to see the interchange panel there. There's two present coaches of teams and one ex-AFL coach in Buckenara. Eade, of course, at Sydney now, and Terry Wallace out at the Bulldogs.
It almost reads like a who's who, doesn't it? When you look at the coaching personnel that come from that list, it's fantastic. Gary Ayres is there, Buckenara, Eade, Terry Wallace, You'd probably say that in days to come you would almost certainly see, oh, here we're on to Essendon now.
Well, it's not quite the same at the Essendon place, but then again, the Essendon team, whilst it was very good in those times, didn't go on to be a sort of a dynasty like Hawthorn had and did.
No, that's right. Although the 80s were sort of great years for Essendon Football Club as well, and when you umpired a Hawthorn-Essendon game, you knew that you were going to be umpiring a game where the players were just dead keen to win, and there was a lot of pride involved, and it was almost like a battle of the giants during the late 80s or mid to late 80s.
And there's quite a few 300 game players there, I think, in Madden, Watson, Foles, Danaher.
Yeah.
And there's probably more than that there, but that's, I mean, and Baker too had a tremendous final series, didn't he?
Yeah, and the thing to be mentioned about these two sides is that they were incredibly well disciplined. Their focus was just to play footy. And so, in a sense, it was a bit like a cakewalk for an umpire, because you knew that you were secondary and the only thing they were there to do was to get kicks and win the game.
Well, I've got to show some discipline now, John, and switch away from you to talk to our folks. We're going to take a short break, and following all the action from the '84 second semi-final at the MCG.